Hello students, welcome to the lecture on writing skills. And after this lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Explain the concept of writing skills. Understand the sentence and types of sentences. Discuss report writing. Explain email drafting and etiquettes. Define effective use of SMS. Let's start with the introduction of writing skills. Writing is the cultivation of written communication skills in students who may be behind their peers for a variety of reasons. Specifically, the focus of this discipline is usually on underprepared undergraduate students in their first year of college who may need some assistance to develop their writing abilities. Numerous theorists began developing approaches to teaching basic writing in the 1970s in the United States, as college attendance began to rise and a number of colleges and universities faced a flood of remedial English students who did not have the same skills as their peers. Some students receive inadequate preparation for college-level English in their high schools, especially in disadvantaged districts. Other students may need some basic writing courses because of cognitive disabilities that impair their ability to acquire and retain information in high school. Such students may benefit from mentoring and assistance from a disability specialist. English as a foreign language student may also need a writing education if they do not have extensive experience with formal written English. Let us now discuss the concept of writing skills. Writing is a form of communication that allows students to put their feelings and ideas on paper, to organize their knowledge and beliefs into convincing arguments, and to convey meaning through well-constructed text. In its most advanced form, written expression can be as vivid as a work of art. As children learn the steps of writing, and as they build new skills upon old, writing evolves from the first simple sentences to elaborate stories and essays. Spelling, vocabulary, grammar, and organization come together and grow together to help the student demonstrate more advanced writing skills each year. Writing disability. This union of skills, however, is a very complex process, and there are few for whom these skills evolve easily. Best ways to improve writing skills. Most professional authors will agree that there are no single correct way improving writing skills, and that doing so is an individual process that is different for everyone. Grammar and punctuation. Some linguists consider grammar and punctuation rules to be the most vital element in written communication, because they have such a major effect on both the flow and meaning of what a person is trying to say. Audience. A common refrain among professional writers is that to really connect with the members of an audience, a person has to speak in a way that they will understand. Peer evaluation. Related to the idea of audience is the concept of having someone else take a look at one or more drafts. Reading aloud. If a writer has paid attention to both audience and grammar and punctuation rules, the connections between ideas generally will be very smooth, making the content easier to understand and remember. Reading the works of others. Reading is a way to improve writing skills because it exposes a person to many different communication styles. Problem identification and organization. One of the biggest problems in poor writing is that the point is not clear, which usually is because the author has not absolutely identified the problem or information they need to give to the reader and organize them around it first. Habitual sessions. Some experts suggest that practicing as often as possible is the best way to improve writing skills. This is not the same thing as cranking out a lot of pages. Rewriting. As a person tries to increase the amount of time he spends putting his ideas to paper, a specific technique that sometimes produces big benefits is to rewrite something that already exists. It can be the author's own previous work, or it can be for someone else. Looking for details. Easy ways for a writer to develop even when he is not at his work desk is to look at whatever is around him and mentally identify as many details as he can.
How to improve your English writing skills. Many people all over the world communicate in English in one form or another. However, not everyone has the ability to communicate effectively through writing. Talk is cheap. You can say it. But can you write? Well, this is a very important skill to have, especially in this age of internet communications and social media, where texting, twitting, and blogging rules. Even if English is your native language, it doesn't mean you can write well. You also need to study the many requisites in writing English. One of the most helpful tips is to immerse yourself into the language. This alone will yield improvement. Learning how to improve your English writing skills is simple when you follow these steps. 1. Write in English to immerse yourself into the language. Those who communicate through writing will develop better writing skills. The main reason for this is that every time they do it, their mind is always tuned into writing in proper English. They pay more attention to details such as spelling, punctuation, and sentence structure. Practice makes perfect. The more you practice writing in English language, the better you will get. 2. Expand your vocabulary and knowledge of grammar and sentence construction. Some of this will occur naturally as you practice writing every day. One of the best activities for practicing English daily is to create a daily journal of your activity on a blog format. Remember that there are a lot of free blog platforms you can use anytime. 3. Read newspapers and books regularly. People who are avid readers develop their writing skills, and they can easily comprehend messages. When you read newspapers daily, you will notice how the reporter develops the sentences, or how they were clearly edited by the editors of the paper. Aside from discovering how the stories are written, you can also discover new words and their definitions. When you come across any word that is new to you, do not hesitate to look it up in the dictionary. If you practice this method of reading and mastering the meaning of words regularly, you will improve your English writing skills. 4. Study carefully how the parts of speech work. If you are an English language lover, you will certainly know that there are 8 basic parts of speech: the nouns, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, interjections, pronouns, conjunctions, and prepositions. When you read a sentence of an article, notice how these parts of speech work together to form a complete thought. Notice also how the subjects are able to match and work with the placement of adjectives or adverbs. 5. Study how punctuation marks are used. Many people find it very hard to punctuate their writings. You will never know if your work is polished or not if you have difficulties concerning punctuation. The site Get It Right will help you learn about basic punctuation marks. Enroll in English classes whether you are in high school or college. It is better to start young, because the earlier you start, the better you will become. Writing can be difficult, but learning how to improve your English writing skills mostly involves practice and exposure.
Now we will study about the sentence. A sentence is a group of words which expresses a complete thought. A sentence must contain a subject and a verb, although one may be implied. The job of grammar is to organize words into sentences, and there are many ways to do that. Or we could say that words can be organized into sentences in many different ways. For this reason, describing how to put a sentence together is not as easy as explaining how to bake a cake or assemble a model plane. There are no easy recipes, no step-by-step instructions, but that does not mean that crafting an effective sentence depends on magic or good luck. We will begin by introducing the traditional parts of speech and the most common sentence structures. 1. The parts of speech. One way to begin studying basic sentence structures is to consider the traditional parts of speech, also called word classes: nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, and interjections. 2. Subjects, verbs, and objects. The basic parts of a sentence are the subject, the verb, and often, but not always, the object. 3. Adjectives and adverbs. A common way of expanding the basic sentence is with modifier words that add to the meanings of other words. 4. Prepositional phrases. Like adjectives and adverbs, prepositional phrases add meaning to the nouns and verbs in sentences. 5. Coordination. A common way to connect related words, phrases, and even entire clauses is to coordinate them, that is, connect them with a basic coordinating conjunction, such as and or but. 6. Adjective clauses. To show that one idea in a sentence is more important than another, we rely on subordination, which is treating one word group as secondary or subordinate to another. 7. Appositives. An appositive is a word or group of words that identifies or renames another word in a sentence, most often a noun that immediately precedes it. 8. Adverb clauses. Like an adjective clause, an adverb clause is always dependent on, or subordinate to, an independent clause. 9. Participial phrases. A participle is a verb form used as an adjective to modify nouns and pronouns. 10. Absolute phrases. Among the various kinds of modifiers, the absolute phrase may be the least common, but one of the most useful. Types of sentences. Linguistically, sentences are the means of communication that human beings use to express themselves. All sentences are made up of one or more words, which meaningfully make up exclamations, questions, declarations, etc. Sentences by structure. According to grammar and composition, there are 4 types of sentences. Simple sentences. A simple sentence is one that is made up of an independent clause and has no dependent clauses. It therefore has one subject and one predicate. Compound sentences. A compound sentence is made up of 2 independent clauses, which is joined by a conjunction. Complex sentences. A sentence that has at least one dependent clause, which is joined with the help of either a subordinating conjunction, like although or because, or relative pronouns, like who or which. Complex compound sentences. A sentence that is formed by 2 independent clauses but also has a dependent clause is known as a complex compound sentence, or compound complex sentence. Standard business letter. We may have reached the era of email communication. However, many organizations still prefer to use a typed professional business letter format. Standard business letter format. A professional format has to be learned by students, those looking for jobs, as well as those who are working. Full block. It is for that type of letter where all essential elements of a letter are present. Indented. The modified block or indented format is a type of letter where some essential parts of the letter are written in right justified format. Sender's return address. The first thing to type in the business letter format is the return address of the sender. Keep in mind, name here comes right at the bottom where one signs. One directly begins with the return address. Let's know about report writing. Report writing is an essential skill for professionals in almost every field, Accountants, teachers, graphic designers, information scientists, the list goes on. That is one of the reasons why the lecturers will almost certainly require one to write reports during the period of study at the university. A report aims to inform as clearly and succinctly as possible. It should be easy to read and professional in its presentation. Exactly what one includes in one's report and how one presents it will vary according to one's discipline and the specific purpose of the report. Basics of report writing. The business report is the medium in which to present this information. Difference between reports and essays. A common problem is that students transfer what they have learned about essay writing to report writing. Both essays and reports need formal style, careful proofreading and neat presentation, introduction, body and conclusion, analytical thinking. Types of business reports. Business reports allow you to present pertinent facts, figures, and information for analysis. This allows companies to create business plans and budgets and make marketing and advertising decisions as well as purchasing and human resource decisions. It is important to format information in a business report so it can be read quickly and easily. Now let us take each type of business reports and analyze it a bit. Statutory reports are the ones required by law. Voluntary or non-statutory reports are usually internal reports required by the management. Depending on function, the types of reports are: analytical reports are the ones containing analytical information in a narrative form. Informational reports are reports presenting facts or information without any explanations or opinions from the person creating them. Research reports are, as the name suggests, based on research conducted by an external or internal team. Gathering information. Information gathering can be used for a variety of different reasons. However, the main benefit with regards to academic studies is that one will become aware of more diverse sources, opinions, and approaches which can only enhance academic work. A broad, well-researched foundation of knowledge will help you more accurately develop your own approaches and opinions, a key element to academic achievement. Effective information gathering can utilize the time more efficiently and effectively, develop critical thinking through the use of sifting, sorting techniques, Broaden the outlook and inform subject understanding through the exploration of more diverse sources. Clarify purpose of report. Record sources, methodology, evidence for arguments, support recommendations, conclusions. Relevance, see purpose, readership, currency, accuracy. A draft document is a preliminary version of a written work. It is typically prepared in business contexts so multiple people can review it and add their input before the document is finalized. In the business of professional publications, a draft document is anything that has yet to go through the final editing process. On an individual level, a draft document is a written report at any point before it is submitted for formal evaluation. When matters are put in writing, it is generally assumed that what is on the paper is the writer's formal position on the matter. Written documents have special standing under the law and can be objectively analyzed, since what is written and submitted on a document cannot spontaneously change in the way of a verbal argument. The formality of the written format, the consequences of committing something to writing, and the inability of changing a written document once it is submitted has driven the need for the draft format. Some word processing programs have typically addressed the need for draft documents to undergo a process of review and revision by allowing the writer to save a document as different versions. This enables the writer to revert to a prior version of the draft if the revision process derails the document's purpose. In business environments, the word processing program is networked through a server, allowing people who need to review the draft to check it out of the system, make corrections or additions, and check it back in as a new version that others can view. Law firms are one type of business that uses this type of draft document system. Legal letter drafting. Legal letter drafting is an essential part of any legal dispute or arrangement. Most jurisdictions place an elevated value on memorialized thoughts, wishes, and demands. It is important then that letters be carefully drafted. Each word has meaning, and in many cases what is written in a legal letter is binding. Email etiquette at work. It is important to understand the proper email etiquette when at work, to ensure that one does not put forward a casual and lackadaisical approach because of badly drafted emails. Preparing agenda and writing minutes for meetings. Meeting minutes are an account of an official meeting, usually of a board of directors, for a company or a governmental entity. However, many volunteer groups also keep minutes of meetings to make a historical account of all records, decisions, and bills approved. Minutes are normally taken by one individual and then approved at the next board meeting, once all board members have had the opportunity to review and make any corrections. Making notes on business conversations. In the business world, knowing how to talk to colleagues and superiors is crucial to professional advancement. Current events. Knowing the way around a newspaper can help one appear well-rounded and intelligent. Personal details. A few personal details are acceptable and even welcomed in a business conversation. Effective use of SMS. The SMS texting for business use is still pretty new in the UK, with not many companies sending SMS text messages to their customers, suppliers, or general contacts. Target your message. To get the best response rate, target. Find who you want to contact and then target them using the language they use and with solutions, offers they would want to receive. Timing. As most people have their phone with them over 90% of the day, timing is not much of an issue. Case writing and documentation. Case writing is used in academic and professional settings as a research writing method. When one writes documentation, one should focus on the reference materials. Make sure that the organization is clear and that the content is cross-referenced, and make sure that you focus on being as clear and forthright as possible. While it is unusual that technical writers are not surprised by what they write, when they write documentation, the reading experience should contain no surprises. There are a number of less obvious things that you could do as a writer, which may not be obvious. Use structured conventions to make reading easier. Lists, tables, and a restrained use of document hierarchy can make your texts easier to read and scan for easy reading. Use short, clear sentences. Longer, complex sentences take a long time to read and are hard for readers to parse. In some cases, complex sentences are necessary for introducing complex concepts and relationships. Avoid these kinds of sentences when possible. Did you know? The French word etiquette, literally signifying a tag or label, was used in a modern sense in English around 1750. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. Writing is the cultivation of written communication skills in students who may be behind their peers for a variety of reasons. Writing is a form of communication that allows students to put their feelings and ideas on paper, to organize their knowledge and beliefs into convincing arguments, and to convey meaning through well-constructed text. Some linguists consider grammar and punctuation rules to be the most vital element in written communication, because they have such a major effect on both the flow and meaning of what a person is trying to say. If a writer has paid attention to both audience and grammar and punctuation rules, the connections between ideas generally will be very smooth, making the content easier to understand and remember. One of the biggest problems in poor writing is that the point is not clear, which usually is because the author has not absolutely identified the problem or information they need to give to the reader and organize them around it first.